You are listening to Make and Break episode beta 7 Alpha Z for September 17th, 2009. I'm your host, Jim Glenstein. With me today is this very special guest and collaborator. You may know him from publications such as Cyril in Pajamas and Attack of the Monstrology. The chairman of Awesome, thank you for joining me.
Oh, why thank you, Jim. It's my pleasure to be here.
What kind of new projects do you have going on? What's on the drawing board?
Oh, the drawing board. Well, I tell you what, my friend, I've been pretty busy lately, so basically the new project I'm focusing on right now is this podcast called Break and Make.
Oh, I see. And this
I'm just here to kind of check stuff out.
This Break and Make, how what kind of thing are you going to be focusing on while you do this podcast called Break and Make?
Well, I was thinking that, maybe I'd get some people that I thought were pretty funny, and I would have them commentate, various things found around the, have you heard of it? I know I'm on audio right now, you can't see I'm making quotes with my fingers, but internets. It's going to be the next big thing, I'm telling you. Yeah, I don't know what a podcast is when I start one.
Tell me more.
Well, I think it's, I don't understand the term podcast, from what my loose understanding of it. You compared it to the radio, and I think it should probably be called, pod radio, or radio casting.
Well, does it involve gardening and fishing?
Well, in my life, and I assume yours and anyone else on this planet, I would just answer that question with another question being, what doesn't?
No, actually, I was going to mention truck driving, but that's not necessarily true either.
No, not so much. Not so much. But I am certainly appreciative of the invite, and I look forward to having some good conversation with you here.
To quote a great friend of mine, this is one of my ice-breaking questions. Tell me, Chairman, have you ever woken up in the back of a Peterbilt sleeper cab covered in sausage gravy, smelling like Kentucky bourbon?
I thought we agreed before the interview that you wouldn't ask me that.
I thought I'd slip it under the radar. I apologize for breaking all protocol with disclaimers in the contract beforehand. I didn't realize that was truly one of those green M&M type issues in the contract.
Well, move along.
I will. Have you been paying any attention to the current date?
I really haven't been paying attention to the current date because all my days tend to blur together. I have this thing in front of me, again, computer. It's the 17th, I see, of the month of October. What that says to me is that I'm probably late on some bills.
Or very, very early. Well,
let's see.
It's the 17th.
Jim, you're an optimist, and I like that. I'm going to double your salary.
The glass is always half full unless it's beer. Now, it happens to be the 17th of October. It's coming up on Halloween. It's a big holiday for some. But there are others that fear it. Fear it with a great hatred. There are some that say allowing your children to trick or treat is on par with sending them out hand in hand with Satan.
Oh, jeez.
Well, this story happens to be out of what I can only pronounce as possibly being Leicester, UK, only breaking it down with the knowledge of how you pronounce Worcestershire sauce. But it turns out there's a church group telling the children in Strathern, north of Melton, oh, you'll be able to figure that out on the map now, that
right.
The article is saying that anyone trick-or-treating is devil-worshipping. We don't think of it that way. It's just a bit of fun, say local parents. But nonetheless, these parents are shocked. They're shocked and alarmed that other people are shocked and alarmed by Halloween.
I think my favorite part about this story is a quote that comes from the same article. Celebrating Halloween means we are siding along with the devil and all his works, which pretty much makes the devil an artist of some sort. And I'm not exactly sure what kind of artist he is. I mean, I seem to recall Hitler being a painter, but it makes me think that maybe, when we trick or treat, we buy the Devil's Unheard acoustic album from the local Hell coffee shop. I'm not entirely sure myself. These people, I just
Do
don't
they
know.
have too much time on their hands, or are they only concerned by the fact that Bob Dylan's putting out a Christmas album and that too is possibly in league with the devil?
So, you raise a very good question there. Well, I'll answer your question in two parts, and I'll add the latter part of the question, yes, and the former, yes. They do have too much time on their hands, but apparently not much funding, because from what I recall, it said that only 500 of these promotional pamphlets were printed. Let's put some effort out here. I mean,
they really.
If you are honestly concerned that the devil is working his way into your child's holiday, you know what? I could probably pull together a lot more than 500 magazines, unless they're very exclusive. They could be exclusive.
They really need a PR firm. I think they have something going on with the practice of trick or treat, which is only using extortion and blackmail to prevent vandalism, is condemned as criminal the rest of the year. I think they have something there.
I just...
but they could... They
I don't know.
help.
This place, Leicestershire, which, I'll agree with you on your former point, does sound like it would go delicious in a Bloody Mary. What concerns me the most about this is they seem to call it Trick or Treat. And as far as I'm concerned, that sounds like one name.
Maybe that's
Trick
where
or
we're
Treat.
lost.
It could be, because when I think of the name Trick or Treat, I'm afraid my child is going to walk up to a door, knock, 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 and there's a man in a kilt, drunk, and ready to put some haggis in my child's bucket of candy.
A bucket of candy, indeed. I hope that's not a euphemism.
Bucket o' haggis.
Well, the other thing that I'm concerned with is that maybe from our point of view on this side of the ocean, trick or treat is how we know it, but trick or treat is something completely different, and maybe this is all just a bunch of...
Maybe it is devil worship.
It is devil
worship. Maybe they're right.
And possibly one step closer to hooliganism.
You know what? I am just gonna say right now, I like the point that you're bringing up here. Trick or treat could be far different than trick or treat, because it sounds un-American, and damn it, if I'm going to let these people are going to try and cross our borders, and I'm going to propose right now to you and everyone listening, we need to build a fence.
But before we start building a fence, I'd like to put it out there that I'd like to hear from our overseas listeners, and maybe they can clear this up for us.
Yes, give those commie bastards a chance.
Limeys and commies, apparently. You and I may enjoy Halloween just as much as the next person, but to quote the Scarborough Evening News, Halloween may seem like a harmless bit of fun for most of us, but one Scarborough man has been warned it could cost him his life. John Stafford, 54, has such a bad case of arachnophobia that his doctor has told him that even Halloween displays in shop windows could give him a fatal heart attack.
Oh, to be in that guy's shoes.
Apparently, you might not want to be, because he uses a cane.
That's true. But you know what? It's like a third shoe.
Just think of the fashion statements you could pull off with that.
Oh, absolutely. The chaplain, guy with a bum leg, the guy who's terrified of spiders in Halloween displays in, local drugstore window displays.
Let me throw this out at you, Chairman. If required to, would you go with the staff, and what type? Or would you go with the cane? And would that cane be straight or have the traditional crook?
I would go with the straight cane, and on the very tip would be a small bit of amber, not unlike Dr. John Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Very classy.
Because it would hold a valuable mosquito that had dinosaur DNA, potentially, but I would already have dinosaurs, so I wouldn't need to tap into it. And I would walk around to everybody saying, "Hold on to your butts."
I can dig where you're coming from there.
Thank you.
Now tell me, with your artistic bent, I know that you're into interior decorating quite a bit, and I know that you fill your weekends with a lot of macrame projects. I'm wondering if you've seen the latest trend in using bacon to create lampshades.
I have seen that. Now, my problem with this, what I really want is for this to be more of a dual purpose scenario. From what I've seen, is the bacon is cooked, and then it's coated so that it will always be that bacon as that lampshade. Now what I want is an easy one-step process. Bacon, lampshade, light on, cook, eat lampshade, and replace.
What a great way to entertain.
Absolutely. I tell you what, as the chairman of Awesome, I attend a lot of hoity-toity affairs, and you know what? They're pretty classy. Not gonna lie. However, the lack of bacon is astounding. And now that I've seen this and had this idea, they bring bacon out, I'm kind of impressed. They cook bacon in front of me from a tungsten bulb. Oh, Nobel Peace Prize.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Usually you go to a party, and if there is bacon served at all, it's wrapped in shrimp. Or it is wrapping shrimp. It's not the focal point
what is
of
that?
the treat. It is a garnish to the treat.
Bacon is not meant to be a crustacean's overcoat. That is an insult and a slap in the face to all those delicious, delicious pigs.
We need to have more bacon as the focal point of the hors d'oeuvre tray, rather than just being an addendum.
You know what sounds good? You know who would really impress me? Stephen Hawking making bacon wrapped in shrimp. Now that sounds delicious and impressive.
Now, are you saying that Stephen Hawking would just be reciting the directions?
No, I want to see him make it, because that would really impress me. That would really impress me. It would be delicious, but I mean, if you really, really, really want to impress the chairman of Awesome, I've got my stamp here, sitting and ready.
Right next to your Find Him and Kill Him stamp.
Exactly. But I am ready to approve Stephen Hawking making bacon wrapped in shrimp as an hors d'oeuvre for one of his fine parties, as he's known to throw. I'm not gonna brag. But if he really wanted to throw down, make the ceiling higher, as the kids say, he would do that. I know you're listening, Steve. Make it happen.
It could turn out that is the one task he is able to perform.
I don't think it could happen, but Steve, prove me wrong, buddy. Prove me wrong.
While this show isn't necessarily Halloween themed, it does have a bit of a Halloween bend to it because of the time of year. It's a bit early in the month, and maybe we'll have another episode of some Halloween-y kind of fun. Ran across some things while I was looking up. I've been looking forward to buying a book called How to Build Your Own Coffin for You and Your Pets. I think I have that title wrong. But nonetheless, I've ran into Bert and Bud's Vintage Coffins. Quote, you only get one shot at making a last impression. And there's a photo of either Bert or Bud standing next to one of their very unique coffins. Happens to have a clock embedded in the lid. I'm concerned with this business name. Vintage Coffins.
You know what, actually, Jim, I'm going to ask you to rewind there. When you say how to build a coffin for yourself and your pet, I am actually very concerned on whether or not you are building a coffin for you and also building a coffin for your pet, or if you are building a coffin for both you and your pet.
Yes.
Very well then. Now, vintage coffins.
One of the things that you have to keep in mind, Chairman, is that I could build myself a coffin and use it as a handy CD rack until it's time to actually be used. I could put CDs in there and other...
Time for all those old Soundgarden albums to be passed on to your offspring.
Chairman, I have been in the market for vintage eyewear in the past. A lot of these products have not been used before. I enjoy the concept of reducing, reusing, and recycling. I still have one caveat with the showcase vintage coffin advertised by Bert and Bud, and it's the coffin built for a man or a person with an enormous head with what appears to be a clock on the lid. I can't get a bigger photo. I'm guessing it's a clock. I doubt it's a barometer.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is, from what I'm looking at here, I'm guessing he's saying, why bury your grandfather with a normal clock? Why don't you bury your grandfather with a grandfather clock?
It's a great song. It's a great concept.
Yeah. It could be a timer too. Like It could even be, let's say it's not for Grandpa, but it could be for those new extreme kids, It could be like extreme cremation coffin that normally people spread ashes across the ocean from an urn. What if you just toss the coffin out and then the timer clicks out and spreads the ashes for you? We're living in a technological age. I wouldn't doubt it. Look at it. It's a big red coffin with a clock built in. It looks like a big stick of dynamite.
For those who enjoy perusing cemeteries, that sort of device would not only be exciting but alarming as well. That could be a fabulous gimmick.
Alarming.
What I wonder is the clock on the coffin lid saying "Time marches on," or is it saying "Time's up"?
Ooh, maybe this guy, Bert and or Bud, who both appear to be selling these vintage coffins, maybe one of them knows when judgment's gonna happen. Maybe it's like, hey dude, I know your soul hates hanging around in this decaying old body, but we got a little clock here for you. Let you know when how long you got left before judgment time.
Bud has apparently been on TV. He has several QuickTime videos up there. For those listening in podcast land, I will put the link to this webpage up on the show notes. I think that the listeners will have a great time respectfully looking at this individual's actually reasonably well done business webpage.
Yeah, I do enjoy their slogan that flashes at the bottom. Don't be caught dead without one.
That's right. And it's a fascinating thing. It took me. We were just discussing the idea of computers earlier in the show, and I got the tape in the mail with this webpage on it. Isn't that how you're? I don't know. Some people keep telling me that the web you can get it over the phone.
Yeah.
I've been getting the web.
That sounds horrifying.
I've been getting the web via cassette tape for years, and it's quite
Time Life, right? I'm on the same. I have the same. What do they call them? The Time Life IPS. What's funny is they tried to send me one. It was a huge debacle. They tried to send me one on CD, and I was like, really? CD? This is a media that's going nowhere. Why would I have a CD player in my computer? Straight up cassette? Get them once a month. The internets.
That's absolutely right. Now, I've moved on from Time Life. I've been getting the internets via BMG. It's been working out pretty well. I taped a penny to the newspaper flyer, and so I've been paying $19 a month. I get all the internets that I want, and whatever I don't like, I send back to them.
All right, I'm gonna let you know right now. I was in on that, but once the initial trial period is over, they expect that $19.95 a month hardcore, and the postage for shipping 1,995 pennies cost more than the actual payment, and I was just having a really hard time with that.
I do understand your concern with this. What I have done to make this a much more economically feasible proposition is I've been using prepaid flat rate postage boxes purchased at the post office.
See?
These boxes are new.
I feel so stupid.
Well, you might want to reinvestigate the idea of using BMG for your internet services. And you know what the greatest thing? You were saying about that somebody tried to give you internets over CD a while ago. What are you going to do with that at a party? You can't share that at a party.
Right.
But with the tape,
right, you
can put that in you have your double tape deck, and you put that on at a party, and you get that fun noise going on, and the
right,
the party just livens up like you wouldn't believe. People are eating bacon lampshades. It's a great time. But what are you gonna do with the CD?
What would really help is and here's why I hate technology, because it keeps moving forward so fast. We're just so hooked on cassettes now. I got nothing to do. My computer, I just got a new one. Had the neighbor kid build it. Doesn't read my internet 8 tracks.
Oh, and those are really handy to have. I still haven't been able to work up the money to buy one of those players. Isn't that great, though? You can just hit a button and move on to the next page.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's inconvenient because, they all have to go the same, and sometimes you wind up in the middle of a web page rather than the beginning. And so you have to go all the way back to the beginning. But, I mean, they store so much more than a cassette.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. They really are nice. You really have to keep the player clean, though. They tend to, the players tend to eat the tapes up, and then all your internets are down.
Oh, yeah. I've been dabbling with some community college courses, and the kids are nuts about their computers. So, we can't get our wireless 8-tracks.
CBs and internets have no business being together.
They don't.
These kids need to get this idea of wireless out of their heads.
Yep. I'd like to know how those CDs work without wires. Because you gotta put them somewhere. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I've been streaming television into my car with the CB. But every time I try to use the internets with it, it just doesn't work. The CB is very, very useful, but it just needs to see. People have been trying to jam. It's just clogging up everything.
So, well, I've been taking these community college courses, because I want to get more, technological. I would like to be more inclined with technology, and the kids are all about this wireless internet, and I was like, what the hell, man? I mean, wireless internet, we had that when I was a kid.
The kids are all about this wireless, but the problem is there's too much going on with what's already out there. Truckers are trying to talk to one another about what's going on, where the lot lizards, what truck stop has the best speed. When you're talking about wireless, you're talking about CBs. And there's too much going on. It's too much important stuff. Where's the fuzz right now? Where's Smokey? Can I hammer down? You got your rabbit ears on? This stuff's important. We can't have it clogged up. We can't have the CB banned. Yes, I know that's redundant. With Bert and Bud's Vintage Coffins. Or lolcats.
I can only agree.
And the kids need to realize that they need to be patient. Good things come to those who wait. Because otherwise, bad things are going to happen to those that don't have time to wait. Grandma's going to be dying. She's going to be in her Cutlass 88 in a ditch, burning because all of her moonshine caught on fire, and she's going to be trying to radio Uncle Bob, and she can't because there's kids trying to look at Can I Has Cheeseburger. It doesn't work.
This is a new concept to me, and it raised a new question. Can I Has Cheeseburger?
Yes, you may Has Cheeseburger.
Awesome.
Good.
You got the CBs flying around, you got the internets flying around. To tell you the truth, I don't even understand how my computer is doing it. But apparently, there are kids in my community college class, when I put in my internets, when I insert my internets, CD 1 through 12, any of them, they're picking it up from my computer. And I didn't know that this had the capacity to, shoot it out. I thought it was something for me because I'm the one paying for it. If I'd have known I could just pick it up from the airwaves like these kids are doing, I mean, I don't know. For all I know, they're high on the marijuana.
I gave up the old Spectrum that I had because of security issues. And so I've been using I've been experimenting with the TRS-80, kind of leaning towards the Commodore.
Wow.
But I don't know if I'm ready to make that plunge.
Jim, the rest of us aren't independently wealthy like you are. So if you could quit name dropping and throwing out technology like that.
Well, this is the thing I'm concerned with, and no matter what kind of rig that you have right now, I'm concerned about security. And these kids, hacksaws, they're getting into my machine, and I think they break into my home. I don't know, and a better way to describe it is all of a sudden my computer is shooting stuff out. And if I'm going to be shooting stuff out of anything, it's not going to be my computer.
Right. It's going to be those damn squirrels that keep getting on my damn bird feeder.
Yeah, and who has time for those?
Right.
Been gnawing into my garbage
I'm,
can.
you know what? All this, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a little fed up with this internet. It boils my blood just thinking about it sometimes. It's fine. Jim, may we move on to a new topic?
Yes.
I'm just saying, I don't, the last thing I want to do is come on this, I don't want someone to be getting their new Time Life, cassette of internets and have this on there, and then have them be able to just play it over and over of, oh my god, I'm so angry about internet. I don't want that.
Well, that's one of the
I have a
reasons why
reputation
I've
of bull.
specially designed my Time Life and BMG version of this to be played once, and then it catches fire and burns up inside of the tape deck.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. No piracy. I'm not.
All right.
I am anti-piracy.
Fucking pirates. Those Somalian bastards.
I got my latest issue of CNN in the mail. And
Oh,
according
yes.
to the latest issue of CNN, which is not my favorite publication, but it happens to come free because the previous tenants to this house subscribed. The French Navy said they seized 11 pirates Sunday after they apparently mistook a French military vessel for a commercial ship and made a run at it. 2 pirate assault boats approached the Neveux at great speed, Captain Christophe Pezouk said. But a French helicopter intervened before the attackers had time to fire at the French Navy ship. The helicopter fired warning shots, he said. The pirates, who had a mothership as well as the 2 assault boats, are being held for questioning. The vessels were carrying AK-47 rifles and rocket-propelled grenades, but the pirates did not fire. I don't know much about piracy. I've been hearing a lot about this lately. Apparently there's this place that they hang out. It's what do you call this? Body of water surrounded by, like, stuff, a bay. I think that it's Pirates Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so all these vessels go by.
I've heard about
Pirates Bay.
that. I think I had that on. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, what you know something about Pirates Bay?
No, I've Pirates Bay. I think I had that on one of my last versions of Internets, and basically when I put it into my computer, said virus. It sounded just like that.
How long ago was?
It was probably about, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago.
Oh, okay. So it was past bird flu, like early stages of the swine flu.
Yes. Was there? Oh man, I've been afraid, because that's what I thought it might have meant, because we were in full swing about that, and people have seemed to have forgotten about the swine flu.
Well, this is
Can you believe that? People seem to have forgotten.
I got a tape the other day from BMG that I thought was going to be okay, but then I got the same kind of thing, and I poured alcohol all over my computer keyboard, and that killed everything. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I do that regularly, before and after, because this antivirus software that they want you to buy, why would you do that when you can just get good old alcohol?
Yeah, it is no substitution
like
for
I
good
said,
vodka.
alcohol cures everything.
It really does. It really does. These pirates, they go out there and they try to take stuff. It's not yours. You don't touch it.
Nope. Unless it's Photoshop. Then it's up for grabs. From what I understand, no one pays for Photoshop.
Yes.
They're hijacking a boat full of Photoshop. Oh, by all means. Because from what I understand, no one pays for that.
No, a friend of mine gave me a 5-gallon bucket of Photoshop a couple of months ago, and, it fell off the truck, where it came from, they're not going to miss it.
Yeah, no one pays for Photoshop.
No, it's like pens from the office and Post-it notes. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I had some Photoshop in my fridge for a while, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what am I going to do with this? I just took it down to the farmer's market. Told him it was freshly milked Photoshop, and I just put it out there. I labeled it newest Photoshop, even though it was old Photoshop. And, I just labeled it newest Photoshop. Buzz started generating that I was spreading around old Photoshop, but people still kept buying it, so I didn't take the label off.
Well, I'm guessing that you were selling it for a pretty good price. You weren't selling them junk.
Well, to be honest,
it wasn't going to make them sick.
No. Except for the nanobytes that I put in there, that would track everything they bought online and their credit card numbers.
Oh, well, that is what it is. Something I've been wondering about, especially since I've been given this 5-gallon bucket of Photoshops, can I freeze it? Or do I need to put it to use right away? Because, what am I going to do with 5 gallons of it?
You know what you do with 5 gallons of Photoshop? Use
Craigslist?
it as chum.
Chum.
Ah, use it as chum. Chum.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, when you're out there on your boat avoiding pirates, mind you, throw it out there, and you know what? You know what it attracts? Everyone. Everything.
Well, now that you mention that, I'm wondering, is the possibility of using Photoshop as chum, is there a possibility that Photoshop could be used to ward off pirate? Whereas when No? It attracts them? 'Cause
No.
when your ship is sinking and the waves are very, very rough, what is done, or used to be done, is that an oil slick would be created around the ship, where the waves wouldn't be lessened, but the chop would be. And I'm wondering if using the Photoshop in that sense, where here's pirates, and you just dump Photoshop out into the oceans.
As a distractionary method.
Possibly. A smoke screen.
No, but it does. It sends them into a frenzy. Sends them into a frenzy, my friend.
Oh,
like I said, Photoshop attracts everyone. Yeah, it sends them into a frenzy. Once they get that taste of Photoshop, they want more. You know, they're like, ooh, Photoshop, ooh, Dreamweaver, ooh, Flash, fireworks, ooh, human flesh. Should you ever have buckets of Photoshop on board, I would recommend that if your ships start to go under, you tightly seal it in a container and you get it as far away from you as possible.
That could be some of the best advice I've heard in months.
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty good at advice.
I have a mea culpa that I'd like to express to our listening public and our faithful listeners, those that have been listening to episode alpha, or since episode alpha. Yesterday, having drunk too much, I was intoxicated as to pass all bounds, but none of the rude and coarse language I used was uttered in a conscious state. The next morning, after hearing others speak on the subject, I realized what had happened, whereupon I was overwhelmed with confusion and ready to sink into the earth. Those are truthful words, and also a 9th century Chinese apology note. It's a fascinating thing what 40s have done since they were created by the Egyptians 4,000 years ago.
Well, you know, they say no one knows how the Egyptians built the 40, and that the 40 neck being so short as it is, there's a lot of rumors floating around on how it got so short. They say British cannoneers may have used it for target practice. I think what's important here is that the Egyptians appreciated their cats.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please have your pet spayed or neutered.
Oh, definitely. And be sure to save the parts. They make great soup stock.
I can only agree.
One of the things that I've found, this grand concept of aliens building the pyramids. And since the pyramids were built to store not what conventional wisdom says, the mummified remains of deified pharaohs were actually created to store the 40. And the reason why there isn't any evidence of this, and we know it,
is because of aliens.
No. Don't forget that Mr. Carter, when he looked into Tutankhamun's tomb the first time and he said, "I see wonderful things," what he was seeing were cases and cases of bull ice in Old English. And he and his cronies drank it all and then smashed the bottles in a drunken hailstorm of fury.
Well, I think what's important...
3 diggers were killed that night.
Another point of view. I think what you're overlooking here, Jim, is the fact that those 40s were not only drank that night, but there were thousands upon thousands of hundreds of thousands of 40s left.
Where did they go?
And those are what currently sold in stores today for the low, low price of $1.29. And, well, why don't you explain to me, Mr. Glenstein, why malt liquor tastes like asshole? Tell me why.
Okay, so this makes a lot of sense, but unfortunately...
It does make a lot of sense.
It's
for
making
the
too much.
pharaohs.
40s are vintage. 40s are vintage. Vintage coffins make sense because the vintage 40s were found in the sarcophagi of Egyptian pharaohs. Thank you,
My face
sir.
is melting!
Thank you, sir. You've just blown my mind.
You're welcome. My face didn't really melt, but... thank you.
You know, you subscribe to one of these blog cassette tapes, and you look at them and you're like, I've seen some of that before. And you wonder where you've seen it before. these photo Nets logs, I've been thinking about going old school and just having the photos sent to me in the do not bend envelope, and then I could keep them. I could, I could thumbtack them to the wall. Chairman, thank you very much for this great episode of Make and Break. I know that you're only actually here to steal ideas for your own Break and Make podcast, but I won't get into that right now. I'd like to discuss the great beer that I'm drinking tonight. It's Great Lakes Brewing Company Commodore Perry IPA. For those of you that aren't fully aware what IPA is, it's an India Pale Ale. It's a great beer. Chairman, have you been partaking?
I have been partaking slightly in a relatively small, I believe, Milwaukee-based beverage. No, it's not Faygo. It is Pabst Blue Ribbon. Whoa, holy crap, these guys won an award.
What was that first word you said?
Pabst Blue Ribbon. These guys won an award. You gotta check it out. Oh, wait.
That sounds like some kind of crazy ethnic shit.
No. It's red, white, and blue. It's America, baby, all the way. But, they apparently...
Wait a minute. It's red, white, and blue. You can't pronounce it? It's French.
Oh, yeah, that figures why they won it in 1893 and they're still bragging about it, because they're certainly not bragging about World War II. Well, tell you what, it's delicious.
Is it?
I like it. I like to drink it.
So you're telling me that your tongue has gone anti-American?
I wouldn't say that, unless...
This is outrageous. Are you drinking?
Sounds delicious to me.
Oh, you're drinking
French. That tastes as good as freedom fries, if not better.
This conversation needs to end. Thank you very much for being here. We'll see about talking to you again.
Oh.